What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life. And I'm feeling good. Ange Postecoglou has been announced as Spurs manager. David Ornstein broke it to us right in the morning today, saying Ange Postecoglou to be confirmed as new Tottenham head coach today. Agreement in place for the 57-year-old. Signed a 4-year deal to join Tottenham from Celtic, the first Australian manager to manage in the Premier League. Announcement expected soon, and we got that pretty soon after with Spurs official confirming, saying we are delighted to announce the appointment of Ange Postecoglou as our new head coach on a 4-year contract. Let's get the statement up from the club in a second. But Ali Gold also said Postecoglou will officially start his job on July the 1st, but will be consulted on all matters from this point. And Gary Jacobs says that Ange Postecoglou has been told that he'll have to work within his means in the transfer market, and we'll get into what that means in a minute. But let's get into the statement from Tottenham Hotspur. And it reads, the club announcement, appointment of Ange Postecoglou as head coach. Now the season and all domestic cup competitions have concluded, we are delighted to announce the appointment of Ange Postecoglou as our new first-team head coach, becoming the first Australian to manage in the Premier League. Ange will join us on July the 1st on a 4-year contract. Daniel Levy says Ange brings a positive mentality and a fast attacking style of play. He has a strong track record of developing players and an understanding of the importance of the link from the academy. Everything that is important to our club. We are excited to have Ange join us as we prepare for the season ahead. A former Australian national team player, Ange managed at South Melbourne, winning the National Soccer League twice and the Oceania Club Championship. He then led the Australian national team under-17s and under-20s before moving on to manage in the A-League, winning the Premiership in 2011 and the Championship Grand Finals in 2011 and 2012 with Brisbane Roar, becoming the first coach to win a consecutive A-League Championship titles. He then became Australian senior national first-team manager from 2013 to 2017, taking the team to the 2014 FIFA World Cup, winning the AFC Asian Cup in 2015 and securing qualification to the 2018 World Cup. He won the J-League with Yokohama Marinos in 2019 and joins us from Celtic, where he won the Scottish Premiership and Scottish League Cup in 21-22 and delivered the treble-winning Scottish Premiership, Scottish League Cup and Scottish Cup in 22-23. We shall confirm Ange's coaching staff in due course. So that is the statement put out from Tottenham just under an hour ago. And yeah, we've got a manager. It's only taken 72 days.
Yeah, it didn't take long, did it? I am actually really excited. I know I've had my trepidations.
I knew you'd come around, Sim. I knew you'd come around.
I've said I've been excited about this appointment. It's not necessarily about him per se, although I do think his personality, I do think that his charisma will allow the club and the fan base to fall in love with him. I do think that we're immediately going to take to him as soon as he does his first interview. I'm certain that all the Spurs fans are immediately going to take to him. But it's more about having that joy back into watching Tottenham play. I'm very interested to see how a lot of these players react to a more attacking style of play, how we're going to be when we're going to be a bit more high intensity. It's going to be fun to watch Tottenham again, and that's what I'm most excited about. And I do think he's a good appointment for that. Obviously, I take his experience. I take his experience out in Japan and in Australia and for the national team as well. He's a very experienced coach. He obviously knows the game really, really well. And I think that you can't throw that away when you're analysing this appointment for sure. And I think as well, this is a massive opportunity for him to basically put himself on the world map as one of the great coaches in world football. I think he has that reputation in Australia, and I think obviously in Scotland he'll have that reputation as being one of the best managers. But around Europe, until he's managed in one of those leagues, it's always going to be holding him back. So now he'll see himself as this is his big shot. This is his shot in the big time to prove himself in one of these leagues. So I do think he's going to take this chance with both hands. He's going to grab it, and I think he's going to put everything into it. And I'm excited for that as well. The only reason I've seen a few comments because I've brought up his age previously. He's 57. It's not his age that concerns me per se. It's more the age plus the lack lack of experience in a top league, which a bit made me think, is this guy really the guy to come into the Premier League, and is his methods going to be something that like can get ahead of the game in the Premier League? Because just because his methods are revolutionary in Japan or Australia doesn't mean they're going to be revolutionary in the Premier League with the high level of competition there is in the Premier League. And I do think that's still a valid argument, but I don't think it needs to be a success at Tottenham. I don't think they need to be a revolutionary to get the fans on side. I just think he needs to bring that attacking football back and that Spurs DNA back to Tottenham, and I think that's all what the remit is. I don't think it's going to be he needs to beat the competition. He needs to be better than Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp and Arteta. He needs to be getting Champions League football immediately. That's not the remit, I think. I think the remit is get a team we can be proud of again, get a style of football we can be proud of again, have maybe a good cup run, try and win a trophy. But I think for the short term, it's try and get back in that top six, try and start competing for European football again, and get Tottenham back on the right track. And I think he is the right man for that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was alluding to yesterday, right? Like, you'd be deluded to think, like, with a new manager to come in straight away, that you're going to be going and challenging at the top, challenging Pep Guardiola, challenging Jurgen Klopp and stuff like that. I think it's just literally a case of getting the fans back on board with the style of football that we're playing, making it fun to go and watch Tottenham again, and bringing a bit of passion back to the club, which has got lost under the last couple of managers that we have. And don't get it twisted, right? That Antonio Conte and Jose Mourinho both thought they were bigger than this football club, and whether you thought they are or not, that's a different conversation. But Ange Postecoglou is dying to be here. Ange Postecoglou wants to be here, and he'll wear the Tottenham badge with a sense of pride. Maybe that's something like Antonio and Jose Mourinho didn't do. And I'm excited for this appointment because, like I've said before, I just feel like it's a similar appointment like the Martin Jol appointment, where things were very disillusioned at the time before Martin Jol came in. And he came in and he completely captured the hearts of the fans. And I think that is what Ange is going to do. And when you look at his mentality, when you look at the interviews and the way he works on the training pitch, I think the players are going to buy into it. I think the fans are going to buy into it. And I think it's exciting times ahead. I really do. The style of football that he's going to bring is going to be a joy to behold. It's basically a complete flip reversal what we've been through over the past 4 years under these defensive managers, Nuno, Jose, Antonio. So I'm really excited to see what the future holds now.
Yeah, and look, it's come 2 years after Daniel Levy said that Spurs need to get back to their DNA, and that's what they're going to strive towards. So it's taken time, but I do believe this appointment is in a good direction on that front. I do think that what the football Ange Postecoglou is going to bring to Spurs is a football that fans will be able to enjoy, and I think, and also the fans want to see, and we don't want to see, literally our motto is to dare is to do. That is the club motto, and that's something that a lot of the fans have been we've always, even like back in Martin Jol, Harry Redknapp, we've always been a team that's look to attack. And even in the 90s when we were bad, we always try and have a go, and we just usually weren't good enough, but we'd always, even in the bigger games, we'll try and have a go and try and win the game. And it's been really bad to watch. As much as we had hoped that it would have brought a trophy or better results, it's been terrible to watch the football over the past few years that we have, and it's really gone against what of that club motto, essentially. And I think Ange Postecoglou, the football he's going to bring is going to be something that's going to go towards those ideals that Tottenham have had over history. So that's what I'm most excited about. And I want to see how Bissouma's going to do in this kind of system, how Bentancur, when he's fit, is going to do in this kind of system, how Romero's going to do in this kind of system. Because I do think a lot of the time, I wouldn't say the formation's holding them back, but they could maybe have another level to their game in a system where we're high pressing, we're winning the ball high up the pitch. I want to see how they react to this kind of football, and in a weird way, it's also going to show a lot of these players up for how good they really are. Because I do feel as well, in the system under Mourinho and Conte, a lot of these players, when we were getting good results, maybe their flaws were hidden by these formation, being very defensive, having a lot of players around them defensively. But now there's going to be no hiding. There's going to be, if you either you can play in this system or you're not good enough, and there's no hiding away from that. There's no excuses now. Oh, if we were playing attacking football, I would be a better player. All these different things. Oh, if they would let the shackles off, would be playing a different way. There's going to be none of that. So I'm excited to see now that it's all going to be out in the open. Now that they're going to be left to kind of prove themselves, how these players react.
And this is actually a really big moment for Australian football. The first Australian manager ever to manage in a top 5 league, never mind the Premier League. And, you know, if he actually does really well here, do you think that maybe opens doors to other managers around that part of the world?
I think long term for sure, because I think for sure that Australian football and the South Asian, like kind of the footballing world, it's not well respected here in Europe. I mean, I'm not saying by me. I'm just in general. You can see it just by the people, the managers, clubs employ, the players, the managers sign. They don't go into that market. It's a massively untapped market. I'm sure there's bags of potential and bags of ability in that market that is just dismissed out of hand because of where it is. And I think Postecoglou getting this job is a massive opportunity for and a massive moment for Australian football and for South Asian football as well. Because I do think that if he does well and if he proves that just because you're from that area of the world doesn't mean that you're not up there in terms of quality with the rest of the world when it comes to football. Like I think other clubs and other owners will start to take a look at that area of the world and think, well, if it works for Tottenham and if he's doing well there, why can't we also look at what's going on over there? And I'm sure as well, if Postecoglou, he will probably know that market, having managed there for many years. And maybe if he can bring some of the talent there over, maybe and sign them for Tottenham, they're massive successes. And he can prove, not just with his management, but with his recruitment, that there are players there that are that can be massively valuable to the leagues here in Europe. Then I think as well that can go a long way to showing people what they're capable of. So I'm excited from that as well, and I think Postecoglou will have that in mind. I think he'll have that. He'll feel that responsibility because he was Australian manager. He has a massive sense of pride within himself about where he's come from. So I think he'll definitely have that in his mind. As to maybe it will be an extra weight of pressure on him. I hope not, but I think it is a massive opportunity, and you can't deny that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really interesting to think and talk about the sporting director or the technical director, whichever term you want to use, because I was doing a bit of reading under Postecoglou, and he is of the old school mindset where he likes to do the scouting, he likes to do the recruitment, he likes to bring his own players in. So it's very important that Daniel Levy lets the guy cook. It really is, because we can't like keep doing this club signing rubbish, like bring in square pegs to fit round holes, right? We need to let Ange do his business, and maybe that's why we haven't brought in a sporting director or brought in a technical director.
And I'm not mad at that, to be honest. I'm happy that if that's where he feels comfortable, and that's look, and he apparently has a very good track record when it comes to recruitment and spotting talent. Apparently, he's extremely good at that. So if that's what he wants to do, and that's where he feels comfortable, if he can marry both, he wants to be a proper manager as opposed to just a head coach, and then you have all the recruitment stuff on the other side. Then I think you let him do it, and maybe that's part of the reason why we haven't rushed into signing a director of football, because Postecoglou feels like he could definitely help out massively on those side of things. I do think in modern football, it's just because of how much like analysis and how much scouting is involved in modern day football. Like obviously these are £1 billion companies now, so they have scouts at every different ground, and they have analysts breaking down every little single thing for every little player. So it's tough for a manager to get his grips around all of it, which is maybe why in modern day football a lot of the time they do need help, and they do need a director of football to kind of help with that side. But look, if he's got his own people and he's got his own recruitment people and he wants to do his own scouting his way, let him do it. And I think you just got to follow his lead at this point, because we've been trying to take too much control away from managers for too long. And I think it's time we get fully behind him. And if you're going to give him a 4-year deal, which we've given him, then you've got to give that trust in him, and you've got to give him that time. You can't give him a 4-year deal and then sack him after a year because you haven't got into Europe yet. You have to stick it out, and you have to have that patience and to stick it out. And I hope the board do have that.
And how long should the fans and the club's patience be with Ange? Let's say next season we finish 8th or 7th again. The season after it's a bit of a similar situation. How patient do you think the fans and the club should be?
It's all about context about what you're seeing on the pitch. As long as you're seeing progression on the pitch, you should be as patient as possible. Like, I think, look, obviously you should always try and improve your league position whatever year. You should always try and see progress. But I think it's more important that on the pitch, as long as we're seeing the team improve, getting better at attacking, getting more cohesive, being a more cohesive unit, I think those are the most important things. Unfortunately, whether we like it or not, Ange is walking into a fan base which is impatient and has lost its patience a while ago with this board and with this club when it comes to not winning a trophy. That's the reality. But I like to think that if he can show progression on the pitch and if he does things in the right way when it comes to attacking football, I do like to think that even if he doesn't win a trophy and doesn't necessarily get Champions League football within the first couple of years, that the fans will stick with him if we can show that he's trying to live up to the ideals of the club, and which shows that we are getting better, and we do see some light at the end of the tunnel. We have to follow the lead of maybe our rivals in a sense of North London. I know maybe the fans weren't also patient in that sense, and maybe the club in a sense were more patient than the fans with Arteta when it came to 2 8th place finishes and keeping him on. But we have to make sure that we're not blinded by results. So we have to make sure that when we're looking at Spurs and we're analysing how we're playing, that we can't just take the result. I know football's a results business, but we have to look beyond the result at these points and be patient. And if we can see good things happening, and we can see like maybe we're getting unlucky here, maybe if we had a better player in this position, we might have won this game, and maybe we can see where the problems can be fixed, and we see a pathway forward, then we have to just be very, very patient with him, I think. And I think a couple years, by the 3rd year, if we're not like at least in the top 4 conversation by the 3rd year, then yeah, you got to start asking questions. But I think the first couple years, if he can get us back in Europa League and have maybe get us to a semi-final or something, some cups, and show progression on the pitch, that's what we got to be looking for at the moment. And I know fans won't want to hear that because we are impatient at the moment, but I think that's what's going to take.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. Like we need as a fan base now to take back that kind of impatience that we have shown since the Win Now managers have come in. We've got a guy now that can head up a project. He knows how to do a rebuild. I mean, in his first year at Celtic, in his first transfer window, he brought in 14 players and he made that work, and he won a double in his first year. And then in the second year, he won a treble. So he knows how to do a rebuild. He knows how to make it work. Yes, I know that is in the Scottish League, but you can only go on what he's worked in. And he's been a major success in every single job he's been in, to be honest. And it's very important that Daniel Levy lets him do his job. I mean, we've seen it many a time when managers come in and Daniel Levy or the board or the hierarchy don't let the manager flourish and don't let the manager do exactly what they need to do. So it's very, very important that this is reversed this time and this manager gets exactly what he needs to do the job.
And the thing is, yeah, like maybe with Conte, like if you don't give him what he wants, he can try and work with it, and he did. I know he complained a lot, and at the end of the day, we couldn't do what we wanted because he didn't get what he needed to succeed. But he's still like, he worked with Longley, he worked with like Dyer and Davis and made them better, and he got us to top 4, and then we were 1 point off 3rd when he got sacked. Like he tried to do his best with what he had, and because of his like defensive tactics, he can kind of shield Dyer as much as he could of like too many underperformances, and like he can get results even with bad players, and even with bad performances he can get results. But now with Postecoglou coming in, like there's not going to be that safety net in a way of these players having that low block and having players around them. So if he has Dyer in a high line, we're just going to get battered. That's reality. He needs to be able to play. He needs to be able to have the players, especially in defence, that are going to facilitate his way of playing. Otherwise, he's going to get exposed every single week. And unlike maybe under Conte and Mourinho, where although we weren't great, he could kind of hide the flaws of these players. Postecoglou's not going to be able to do that with how he wants to play. It's going to be there for all to see. So if we don't have players to suit his system, we could slide further down the table. That's the reality here. Whereas Conte could maybe make it work with those kind of players in a way, try and make it work anyway, even though he didn't do it fully. Postecoglou is not going to be able to fully make it work with players who aren't up to his way of playing, and that's where Levy's got to learn his lesson.
And I think it's time as well that we have an uncomfortable Harry Kane conversation as well, because obviously we know, Real Madrid sniffing around, 1 year left on his deal. With the way Ange likes to play, high pressing from the front, his number 9 leading the press, can Harry Kane do that even? Is it worth for us to get that fee in now for Real Madrid and get that 100 million, 80 million, whatever it may be? And I'm going to say it now. I actually think, as much as it might be crazy, sound crazy, I actually think Richarlison might suit that number 9 role more in an Ange Postecoglou system than Harry Kane.
Well, it's an interesting quote. Apparently, Pedro Porro's been credited with a quote here about Kane and going to Madrid. He said, if Kane decides to go to Real Madrid, we'll be as happy as he is or more, which is a strange quote. I don't know why he's talking about Kane and Madrid. But I kind of agree with you. If you look at how Postecoglou likes to use his strikers, they need to be relentless pressers who never give the opposition a moment's rest. And Kane had that back in his early days, and he was very good at that under Pochettino back in his early days. But I don't think that's the Kane of 2023. That's the reality. He's adapted his game. He's still just as effective as he ever was, and he's just as good as he ever was when it comes to being in front of goal, being that a world-class striker / hybrid with a number 10 and being that creator. He's an unbelievable player, but does he have the physical capacity to be a relentless presser for 90 minutes while also keeping up those standards of being an effective striker? And should he need to do that, at 2023? Should he be asked to do that? Or does it require a younger, hungrier striker who will do the dirty work, who will run down blind alleys to press defenders to not give them a moment's rest? I feel like with Kane, that time, he's kind of done that. That time has kind of been and gone, and I don't think he's up to that. I don't think he should be asked to do that. Kane has now become one of those players where you like maybe certain other world-class players in the world, where you allow him potentially to lessen his defensive work to maximise his effectiveness going forward. That's the stage kind of where he's at. And Tottenham at the moment, I feel like, I'm not saying he's a passenger, because his effectiveness would outweigh, in my opinion, his lack of defensive ability. But would it benefit Tottenham in a way to have someone in there who's just going to do the dirty work, who's going to be a bit of a fighter, who's going to be that hungrier player to prove themselves, rather than someone like a Harry Kane who maybe the system won't work as well if he's not doing that pressing work as much as maybe someone else would. And maybe now, if we are going to have this hard reset, maybe it's time to really make it a hard reset and cash in on Kane and kind of really move on at this point. Because I do think with Madrid coming calling, with them maybe giving us a massive wad of cash to help with the rebuild, gives Kane the opportunity to get that big move, gives Tottenham an opportunity to say goodbye in a way that we would like to a foreign club rather than to a domestic rival. We get a large bit of money for him. I think the fans at this point can accept him leaving as well, because let's be honest, he wanted to leave 2 years ago. He stayed, and we've gone backwards essentially. So how can we convince him to stay on even for another year? So I think it makes sense, and I think even for the system it makes sense as well. So I think it's going to be difficult, and even now saying it, a big part of me still doesn't want him to leave and still wants him even for another year just to stay on, because missing out on those 30 goals a season is going to be so hard to replace, and missing our talisman and our figurehead of the club is going to be so hard to let go of. But logically, it just seems right at this point.
I kind of agree. I do agree because I brought up the point. Yeah. But I think that when you're looking at the system Ange plays, there is a possibility that Ange could, because he's very tactically astute, he can change up his system to suit a Harry Kane. But in the system that he has been playing in recent times, it's a 4-3-3 system in possession, 4-4-2 outside of possession. And when he's doing outside of possession, it's like kind of a man-for-man press where it's like everyone is pushed up really high up the pitch and it's man-for-man. Can Harry Kane do that? I'm not too sure. And when you're looking at the players that we do have that can potentially do that, if you have a front three of Son on the left, Richarlison up top and Kulusevski on the right, I think they could all do that. I really believe that. If you look further down in midfield, we'll do a more in-depth video into this, by the way. If you look more into the midfield, you look at Bentancur at the base when he's fit, midfield two in front of him of Ndombele, Højbjerg and Bissouma. And then I think the fullbacks is going to be an issue because I don't know how we're going to do the inverted system if you have Udogie and Porro on both sides. I think maybe one of them can invert, but I don't know if they're suited to that. I don't know if they've shown that in their career. And the left centre-back is going to be a big issue, and the goalkeeper is a big issue. We don't have anyone in those systems right now. So I think goalkeeper, left centre-back are definitely first point of call. And if he can get Ndombele on side and get him playing well, then yeah, he can fill that system. But if he doesn't, then do we need someone to replace Højbjerg in that system as well?
Potentially, because he likes to play with two number 8s who like to get forward a lot. So, I mean, right now we don't have any really number 8s who like to get forward. I mean, Højbjerg has improved
5
his goal
goals, 5
output.
assists this season.
He did, but no, he did. So you got to credit where credit's due. And also Bentancur did show a more offensive side to him. But I mean, there are players there who could really get like 10 goals a season that we could be having in that position, you know what I mean? And that's what I think he really wants, rather than someone. I still think, even though Højbjerg did well, it is still a bit of a square peg in a round hole in a way. He's not a proper offensive player. He's not someone you want to rely on for offensive output, I feel. Whereas if you got on a real offensive player there, like a Maddison or something, then all of a sudden, then that's what you really want.
Yeah, it's true, but like when you're looking at Ndombele, and Paul O'Keefe says, apparently we're going to give Ndombele another chance to prove himself this season, one last chance for Ndombele. Can he do that pressing? Yeah,
this is a good question. It's a good question. He never really had the opportunity to show whether he could or not at Tottenham, because as soon as he came in, we switched up. We didn't really have. We haven't had a high pressing manager. He had Pochettino, but he was only there for 10 games. And he needed to adapt at that point. So can he do the pressing? Logic says probably not, because his fitness isn't fantastic. He usually gets tired after 45 minutes or so. And that's usually in a low block. So how's he going to get the pressing? But if we can get his fitness right, and we can maybe convince him that if he can win the ball higher up the pitch, he can really have the ability to show off his talents even more than, picking up the ball from deep and trying to show them that way. Maybe he can buy into it. It's all about whether we can get into his head and get him to buy into the way Postecoglou wants to play. And if he can, I think we could have he'll be like a new signing, essentially, I feel. But it's a big ask, because it's been a while since he's been playing well, to be honest. He's had short spurts at Napoli, but he's never nailed down a place. At Lyon, he started well and then fell out of favour. At Spurs, he had one good period under Mourinho, but other than that, he's been out of favour pretty much throughout his whole time at Tottenham. So it's been a very turbulent 4 years, and how that's affected him, we'll have to wait and see. But what we do know is his talent, in terms of what he's capable of on the ball, is completely unique to the Premier League and completely unique to the Tottenham squad. And if we can harness that, then I think we could still have a gem there.
But what I've come to know with Postecoglou, and probably the same for most managers, to be honest, but he hates lazy players. Mm-hmm. He hates, with a passion, lazy players. And if anyone is lazy within this squad, they're going to get found out very quickly, and I don't think they'll see much minutes. So,
no hiding place for him.
Yeah, and if Ndombele is up to like even 10% of his old tricks, like he won't be seen in a Spurs shirt like very soon after. So this is literally make or break for Ndombele big time. Not even for his Spurs career, but could be for his career in general at the top level. Because if he goes through all these managers at Tottenham and nobody likes him, attacking managers, defensive managers, goes to Napoli, sees minutes but not too many minutes, and they don't want to take up the option on him. Where's he got left to turn at the after that?
I've got a feeling like how I see it going with Ndombele. I think we give him 6 months, because I think there's been talk cancelling his contract already, and I think we probably give him 6 months to prove himself. And if he's still the same in Ndombele, I think we probably cancel his contract in January.
I think that's right.
Probably how we'll see it. And I think that's probably the smart way to look at it, to be honest.
Yeah, it is, because at the end of the day, as much as we want to talk about how lazy he is, his fitness levels and all this kind of stuff, when you're looking at pure ability, pure footballing ability, he's probably got one of the best in the Premier League, never mind just in the Tottenham squad. Like, his technical ability is just insane. It really is. But I've just been burnt by him so many times. Me and myself don't really want to give him that other chance. But if Postecoglou wants to do it, then I'm all for it, to be honest, because I think we have to listen to every single syllable and every single word this manager wants to do, and we have to go in that way. So if he wants to do it, then by all means, I think it's up to him. And if he feels like he can get something out of him, then I'm excited to see what can come of it. But look, that is that. And Ange Postecoglou is our manager for the next 4 years at least. Well, hopefully the next 4 years at least, all being well. I want to get your opinions on it. So the call-in links are open. But before we go to the call-ins, do you want to get through these super chats first?
Yeah, we've got... Mr. Watty, who's been a member for 16 months, he says, super happy we finally have a gaffer, whoever it is. I fear entitled fans will target him if we don't do well, but I'm fully behind him. #Dyer out. Do you think fans maybe who are using this appointment as a stick to beat Levy with when it comes to maybe quote unquote lack of ambition kind of appointment, are they entitled?
I think they are entitled, to be honest. I think that it's unfair to beat a manager. They're only beating him with that stick because they don't know who he is. That's without looking into him, without doing your research. Like, do your research first. Look into him. See what he's about. See what football he's going to bring. See the past jobs that he has done and the success he's had with mediocre teams, really, that have had no success in the last 10 years. Do your research first. And if you still have your reservations after that research and still want to call, the club unambitious, then fair enough. But I feel like the majority of people that are doing this campaign, No to Ange and all this kind of stuff, I think it's ill-informed, and I think it's without doing much research, and it's just because, they don't really know of this manager.
Yeah, I do think it's a bit unfair on Ange as well, like to kind of have that kind of welcome to a club where we're supposed to be supporters at the end of the day, we're supposed to be fans, we're supposed to support the management. And as much as we can have our disagreements and our complaints about the hierarchy, which we all do, it doesn't mean that Ange isn't going to want what's best for the club. It isn't want us to be massively successful. And yes, maybe the hierarchy might have a say in whether he is or not, but I think Ange is a guy we can all get behind, and I believe once you hear him speak, there's going to be no reason not to support him.
I guarantee, because I as well was a bit apprehensive about Ange Postecoglou. Big up to Paul, by the way, who's in the back end for made me realise about Ange Postecoglou. But look, I had my reservations about him, but after seeing him speak, seeing him on the training ground, all these clips that are doing the rounds, seeing comments about past players and everyone that buys into his methods, he does seem like a special guy. He really does. And I feel like even the guys that are apprehensive right now, give it a few weeks, give it a few months, they're going to fully buy into what he wants to do once you start listening to him in press conferences. I really believe that.
James Hunter says, even if we appointed Pep, I still wouldn't feel excited. ENIC have broken us, and until I see a change in how they operate, then I'm curbing my enthusiasm.
That's completely fair enough. That is completely fair enough, because I feel the same way about the hierarchy. No matter what, if we were to put Ange Postecoglou, this Ange Postecoglou does not change my mind on ENIC whatsoever. I still want Levy out. I still have massive reservations about them. But the fact of the matter is, the way I look at it is back the manager, not the regime. And that's where we're at the moment. They've got a lot of making up for us to do. And one managerial appointment ain't going to do that. We need to see them going in the way of which the manager wants, in backing the manager, investing in the manager. And then maybe we can start talking about a change in ENIC. But right now, there's no change. So
the fact of the matter is, the reason why the rebuild is so severe, and the reason why we're talking about we can have a good season and still finish 7th, is because of them. It's because of Enoch. It was all down to them while we're in this position, and he's got such a big job on his hands, when in reality it shouldn't be such a big job. Like if the club was managed correctly from the top, like if you look at where we are as a club in terms of the stadium and everything, like this job shouldn't be such a massive rebuild that it's now necessary to be, but it's because of the hierarchy. So that's why I don't like the hashtag no to Postecoglou. But if you're going to carry on bashing the board, I think that's fair enough, because I think they deserve criticism and they shouldn't just be one manager appointment doesn't let them off the hook. I know, even though it is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Loves Music says Scott Munn will be a massive help to Ange. And yeah, that's probably got a part to play. I'm sure he's known about Postecoglou for a very long time. I'm sure he's probably one of the big advocates for Ange Postecoglou. It wouldn't surprise me, because he was in the Australian league for a long time as well. So I'm sure that he's Scott Munn is going to be one of those guys always in his corner, probably in the boardroom.
Yeah, and it's going to be a bit of a homecoming when Ange goes to Australia on the pre-season tour. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fan furor about him.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of excitement. Rajesh Sharma says this isn't punishment for all those Levy out cards? ? He's asking.
What's he saying? Are the board punishing us
by signing Postecoglou? That's what they're saying. He's saying, all right, we're going to take one of the best managers in Europe in Conte out and put Postecoglou in. That's what he's saying. It's a punishment. But I don't know about that. I just think this is Paul is ready for this. I just think Postecoglou is what the club need right now for where we're at. And I think I don't think it's a punishment. I just think, this is a necessary appointment.
Look, what you think is a punishment is going to turn out to be an absolute charm for this football club. So you just wait, guys. You just wait. This is going to be great.
DJ Samuel says, great live stream as always. Come on, you Spurs.
Big up.
Jaden says, can't wait for Ange to chin the Chelsea manager. Big up, Jaden. It's exactly. It's a rite of passage.
He's going
to scrap to Arteta. I can't wait.
They did remake that the Pochettino chant, by the way.
With what?
He's not his magic, He's magic, you knew. Angelos Postecoglou.
Brilliant. I can definitely see Postecoglou scrolling up to Arteta.
100%.
I can see it for sure. Rich in Rio says, morning guys, thanks as always. I emigrated to Australia in 2000. Ange refuses to allow people to tell him what he can and can't achieve. Why should we? Come on, you Spurs.
Absolutely.
I think it's a good point. And he's always been fighting against these accusations from fans for a long time. This isn't the first time. I was watching it was actually really funny. He did an interview. I think he was when he was Australian under-21 manager, and he failed to qualify for a tournament. And he did an interview on live TV with a live broadcaster, and they were literally calling for him to resign. And they got into this argument live on TV. But he's always out backing himself up, even though I think it was the second time in a row that they failed to qualify under him. So they were like, "Look, it's 2 times in a row. You should resign. Just admit you're not good enough." He was like, "I'm never going to admit that. I know my own quality. Like, I believe in myself." And that was, I don't know how long ago, that was like 20 years ago or something. So this guy's had that self-belief for a very long time, and he's not going to let some hashtag no to Postecoglou affect him, in my opinion.
Yeah, and look, he'll create a siege mentality within this club, because everyone outside of Spurs think we're a joke. Everyone outside of anyone that knows anything about Ange Postecoglou thinks he's a joke. He's going to prove everyone wrong, step by step, from fans, outside of the club, inside of the club, and I just can't wait for this style of football that we're going to start to play. I really can't. It's going to be so much of a difference. Literally the polar opposite of what we've seen under Antonio Conte and Jose Mourinho. And what have fans been calling for? What have fans been calling for every week in, week out watching this football? I just want to go and enjoy watching Tottenham again. I just want to go and enjoy it, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Oh, bloody hell. Just seen Ben Jacobs saying that Heung-min Son is a Saudi target for 2024 and the legwork already underway. One to keep an eye on.
Hope that's not true, but maybe there's more to...
So 1 more year of Sonny, if that's true.
If that's true. I hope that's not true, because I think he could also do well.
But for how much longer? I mean, he is getting into his 30s, isn't he?
That is
the reality.
That is the reality. It's true. He's going to have to put a lot of energy into this, but I think we can probably get another year out of him at least.
Well, that says we will get another year out of him, to be fair.
True. Yeah.
But look, I think it's time to bring on the callers. And first, we've got Ange Postecoglou enthusiast, all the way from Australia, Paul. How you doing, Paul?
Postecoglou's Blue White Army. How you going?
How you doing, mate?
I'm so happy, man. I'm so happy. When that official news finally came out, I thought, because this is the guy I've wanted from the get-go. I've not been this excited over a manager coming in since Terry Venables. I think he's that good, and it's nice to see even Sim, coming on board there a little bit. You'll be with us. You'll be with us in no time at all, man. No reservations.
Sim has jumped on the bandwagon. 100%. Don't you worry about that. Sim's on board.
Daddy Postecoglou. That's what I'm talking about. But look, tell me what you think. Like, in terms of how he's coming. He's walking into a storm. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot to fix at this football club, from the fan base to the hierarchy to the playing staff. Like, it's going to take time for him to fix all of this. But do you really believe in Postecoglou being a long-term project at Tottenham? He's signed a 4-year deal. It's a long deal. I think it's the biggest deal that we've given a manager since Pochettino. So do you believe that shows the belief that the hierarchy have that this guy can be a real long-term project for Tottenham? He can be here for many years.
I tell you, they've fallen under his spell. He's just looked at him and they've fallen into his eyes. He's a very charismatic guy, and I think he's persuaded him that he's the right man for the job, and he's probably explained how he's going to do it. And I'll tell you what, if he's here for 4 years, I reckon we're not going to be talking about this top four bullshit. We're going to be going for titles and cups and God knows what. He's amazing. He really is.
You believe he's capable of that kind of level, like of competing with Guardiola and Klopp and getting in and amongst them?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I think he's one of the best managers in the world. I've seen what he can do with both when he's taken like the Australian team, which was not a team of world stars or anything, and they played like in a way that they had no right to do at a World Cup, drawing with Spain and losing narrowly to Holland. And he thrives on a crisis. This is what he loves. He loves going into somewhere that's in turmoil. He did it at Celtic, did it at Yokohama, did it at Brisbane Roar, and now he's doing it with us. And you know what's really exciting for me is that I saw a report where his agent's been working on this for months. So, we finally got a manager that really wants to be at Tottenham instead of the fly-by-nighters that we've been bankrolling. I'm happy for you two, because you're going to be having fun at football games again, man. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. It's going to be such a ride, man.
What would you say to maybe fans who talk about his lack of experience at the top level, like in major European football? Like I was saying before, obviously he's done fantastically in other jobs, like in Australia, and if I'm talking about just purely like league football, because international football I think is a bit different. You only get the players a few weeks at a time after a few months. Like league football is like where like you have the players every day and all that kind of stuff. And he's had like he had a lot of success, but his experiences in Japan and Australia in those kind of leagues, and just because like say his methods are revolutionary in those leagues doesn't mean they're going to be revolutionary at a high level in the Premier League, where the level of management at the moment is so competitive. So what do you think? What do you say to maybe fans who have those kind of reservations that his methods are going to translate into Premier League football?
Well, I've heard you talk about this, Sim, and your concern about his age and why hasn't he broken into top flight football sooner. He kind of had his career in Australia, so he's had a total of 11 years with the Australian national and youth setup. So knock 11 years off his age. Pretend he's 47. You can talk about tactics and that, and I think he's a great tactician, but it's the way he bonds with the fans. He'll get he'll get the whole club as one again. That was the big thing he managed to do at Celtic. You know, he was an outsider. No one knew who he was, but there's something about him that he just got everyone on side. So, you know, if he can do that with the Tottenham fans, and I don't think there's any reason why he can't, then that feeling from the crowd and the fans, it's going to bounce backwards and forwards off the player. You'll see them play with spirit. That's the main thing. That's something that, you know, you can't teach on a whiteboard. Is how to fight so hard and never stop until the whistle goes. And that's what you get from an Ange team. They'll, you know, that when the whistle goes, that's the time when they collapse. You won't see them walking around during a game. I heard you earlier saying he hates lazy players. That's him all over. He can't stand it. You've got to put the effort in. That's what he manages to get out of players at every level. That's what he's going to do for us, man.
He says about like lazy players, he has no tolerance for that. But is he ruthless when it comes to like incompetence? Like, for example, like when it comes like Dyer or Sanchez, is he going to look at them? Because look, they're players that still try hard, aren't they? They're not. I wouldn't call them lazy. They're just not good enough. So is he going to look at these players and think, look, they're not good enough for what I want to do, and I want to ship them out immediately? Or is he going to be fair and give them a chance to prove themselves?
I don't know. I suspect he probably has a fair idea what they're like already. But he'll probably, you know, do the similar how he started at Celtic. He'll get the existing players with a few incomings, get them playing the way he wants to play football, and then he'll be able to see where he needs to fill in the gaps. And you know, if Eric Dyer or Sanchez or any of our other superstar defenders last that long, it probably will only be for a couple of transfer windows, maybe one, and then they'll go. But he is ruthless. He loves a clear out, man. He absolutely loves a clear out.
What's your opinion, Paul, on Ndombele? We're hearing in the media now that you know, he's going to be given another chance under Ange Postecoglou. Do you think he'll survive?
Oh, well, you know, I mean, I'm not high hopes on that one. I mean, if you put a few Big Macs behind the opposing goal, he might run up a bit more and get him. But I mean, you know, who knows, Matt? Who knows? Ange does like taking players that have got something to prove or one last chance. He did that with Joe Hart at Celtic, and he got a real big tune out of Cameron Carter-Vickers up there. He's had an outstanding couple of seasons. So who knows with Ndombele? But myself, you know, he's not my favourite player, I've got to admit. But you never know.
In terms of being an Australian yourself and now having the first ever Australian manage in
he's an Englishman.
League. Well, is he? I thought, is he not Australian?
Is he? Do what? Yeah, no.
I sense an accent. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I've been here since '95, so it's been a while.
Do you feel like this is a massive moment for Australian football to have a manager in the Premier League, and like this is a big opportunity to maybe have Australian football like be taken a bit more seriously in Europe?
Yeah, that's a tricky. Like he's had to really go against the odds, because apart from the perception of him from the outside world, soccer's not really looked at, you know, very highly here. It's only now that it's kind of breaking news, but I think that will build, because I mean, really, this is the biggest achievement by an Australian in probably any sport, really. Whether it'll open doors, you know, our league here is quite small, so it's not like you've got a whole load of professional full-time managers, just like the top league, I guess. So the pool is quite small, but there is talent out there. But I think it really took someone very, very special and very good at their job to break out of Australia into the world, and Ange is that man, and he's just going to show you what he's got now. I can't wait for his first press conference to see him sit there in a Spurs tie, and he's going to be talking about Spurs things. He's not going to be talking about, oh, we've been shit for 23 years. He's going to talk about some good times as well. He'll already know all about our history, and that he'll use language that we'll understand.
What about this uncomfortable Harry Kane conversation? What do you reckon about that? I mean, with Harry Kane, you know, with 1 year left in his deal, can Harry Kane even do the number 9 role that Ange Postecoglou wants from a number 9 now?
I mean, who knows? I mean, he's still, you know, he's the best player in the world in that sort of role. So, I think it's kind of up to Harry. Ange wants commitment from players, and if Harry's up for it for at least a season, wants to be there 100%, then I'm sure Ange will work around it. But if Harry's maybe, not committed or his head's being turned, then I think he'll go. But I mean, who knows what Harry's thinking or what Ange is thinking.
I know Ange is he's managed big egos before. I think he's banished Tim Cahill, I think, or big Australian egos before in the past. But I think it's a bit of a different kettle of fish coming into Tottenham and coming into the Premier League. How do you think he's going to take to that?
Yeah, well, you see, I've heard people say ego, and then I hear them say, not that you did this, but hear them say Harry Kane in the next sentence. And Harry Kane doesn't strike me as someone as being, a bit full of himself or having a big ego. He seems to be quite humble, have his head screwed on. I'm more concerned about some of the other players in the squad, really, that have got far less talent. And, if you don't want to do it Ange's way, you ain't doing it here. So I'm looking forward to a little bit of long overdue turnover and a bit more freshness in the team.
So we've Eric Dyer has survived so many different managers now, from Pochettino to Jose to Conte to Nuno. Can he survive Ange?
Well, hopefully Ange will have seen enough of him, because I watched all the games last season and I saw Eric Dyer doing one tackle, and he came in sliding on his arse like a dog that's just had a poo. And he ain't gonna last. I can't see it, man. He just hasn't got the he hasn't got the chops for it. He doesn't love defending. You can tell when someone loves defending. They're in there. They're getting stuck in with their feet or positioning. Our defenders just run away from players. No wonder we can see 62 goals. The other team just runs at us, and we're dead meat. So Ange is going to shore that back up. I mean. He plays a very attacking style of football, but it really depends on him having two rock-solid centre-backs, centre-halves for it to work.
Paul, I'm sure this is a very big day for you. Go and enjoy it.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much for coming on, my friend, and we'll speak to you soon.
You're going to have a great time this year. Thanks, folks. Thanks for having me on. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Nice.
Big up to Paul. Really great to get his take. I mean, he is a proper Ange enthusiast.
100%. Yeah, if anyone is not on board with Postecoglou after listening to Paul, I don't know when you will be.
Yeah, literally. Let's bring on the next guest. He goes by the name of KPV. Not in a Man City shirt today, KPV.
Shut your mouth, you. Shut up.
It's too early in the day for that language, KPV. PG.
I feel like one fella. What is it? Ange Postecoglou's blue and white army. Yay.
You excited, KPV?
Of course. Why are you asking that question, man? I am excited. And
why are you asking him that, Tim? Why?
I don't know. Actually, that's a stupid question.
KPV doesn't take answers from no one. Questions.
I am excited, and I said to David and Jack last night that the Australian job now. Get the new merch says the Australian job now. I've still got the Italian job one, but they are not here anymore. So it should say the Australian job on a t-shirt. So
the Aussie job.
Bring that one out. The Aussie job, Australian. That still counts, man. Australia, Aussie, same thing. Bring the new merch out, boys, because we want some more merch.
We'll bring out.
Don't worry, it's coming, KPV. It's coming.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited, I am. And he's gonna. The double's on, lads. The double's on.
The double is on.
What are we gonna? What double are we gonna win?
The
Audi Cup and what?
Nah, mate, not that. FA Cup, Carabao Cup, those are the two. You saw what Liverpool done last year. They only won those two because they couldn't win the Champions League, could they? And they only won two, so those are the two we're going to win. Dave asked me that question last night, and why not give them two a go? And I want to congratulate David and Jack on reaching 10K subscribers. So
big up to David and Jack. Come on.
Yeah,
Big up.
like give those. I think we need to give them two trophies a go. Like I know teams don't take that seriously. Like yeah, but if you would ask me what would I rather win, I'd say the FA Cup. I know Brian Daigle wants the FA Cup more than the Mickey Mouse one. Like other teams don't take that competition seriously. Man, you won it, but yeah, I watched them get slaughtered by City on Saturday. So yeah, so unlucky, but I'd say FA Cup is what I want to win because those lot who bottled the league won it more times than us. So I want the FA Cup, man. I want it badly,
Is
and he can
Postecoglou going to
do
win
it.
the FA Cup, Carl?
Yeah, and just as long as we don't get Sheffield United, because it's been a Premier League time many times in the past. We had
Don't worry, Ange
Leicester,
will dispatch of Sheffield United.
and yeah, we've had Leicester in the FA Cup. We knocked them out when they won the title, but bye-bye Leicester relegation, and we seem to be interested in Harry Maguire, like Flabhead. Flabhead, no thank you. Give us
Bring
James
him in.
Maddison. Yeah, bring in Madders, James Ward-Prowse, and I hear we're interested in Harvey Barnes, another Leicester player. Like, nah, just bring me the two free kick specialists, so Madders and James Ward-Prowse, and I'll be happy. Like, but
What's your opinion on
you,
Ndombele, Carl? Do you want to give him another chance?
like people say in any movie, there were no second chances, and he had his chance and he blew it. So get him out of the club, man. Like I liked what he scored in that win at Old Trafford, 6-1, and scored that goal against Sheffield United when he chipped it over Aaron Ramsdale. Like they're the only two games he had a good game in. The West, I know he scored on his debut against Villa before the pandemic when Liverpool won the league, but they're the only games I think he had a good game in. The rest you can do on me. Moaning against Morecambe in the FA Cup. Like, get out the club, dude. Lloris is going back to Nice. And I actually want to congratulate Toby Alderweireld. He scored a winner at the weekend. So, well done, Toby, winning the league with Wool Antwerp, his hometown.
What
The
about
team,
Vincent Janssen?
Janssen, what?
He's in that team as well.
Oh, Toby Alderweireld, two Spurs players. And Brian, I'm saying it, mate, but Toby was the better defender. So I don't know why you commented. He was, mate. Deal with it, Brian. Deal with it. I thought his name was
KPV. Just
Wilson.
before we let you go, out of 10, how excited are you for Ange Postecoglou? How much success is he going to bring us over the next 4 years?
9, mate. I'll give you a 9.
9 out of 10. Why not 10 out of 10?
Well, 10 out of 10 then. But I want.
Why not an 11 out of 10?
Well, 100 out of 10 then. 100. 100, man. Like, I wouldn't mind winning them two trophies I said, but yeah, normally you win a Carabao Cup first in February, then FA Cup in, what, April, May time, then, but yeah, win them two trophies and top 4, I'll be happy. Get us into the Champions League place and I'll be happy, but I just want to finish above Arsenal. Like, we just want to finish above them. Like, they bottled the league, and it's more better than watching them win a trophy. And tomorrow, I think it's Thursday, West Ham are getting slaughtered on Thursday. So hopefully West Ham lose because you don't want to see a London rivals win the Conference League. So Thursday, Fiorentina's winning. Anyway, and the good news is I joined the Platinum Parliament SBC on FIFA 23.
We'll talk about that on another FIFA stream, but thank you so much for coming on today, KPV, and we'll speak to you next time.
Nice one, Carl.
Yeah, I'll see you when the new season starts. Big up. Levy.
Big up to KPV. Who is up next? We have got Ryan and Miles. Miles looking very cool in his sunglasses. Ryan looking very smart and dapper in his shirt. How you doing, guys?
All good, all good. Good news coming out of Tottenham for once. Levy finally doing something well by giving a manager 4 years rather than 2 that was touted yesterday. So,
what was your reaction when you first heard Spurs were in for Ange Postecoglou? Did you know much about him?
Didn't know a lot about him. I knew he was the Celtic manager, and I knew he was winning trophies with Celtic. That's all I knew about him. The style of play, people were saying he plays an attractive style. All I see, I don't watch a lot of Scottish football. I watch the Old Firm. That's pretty much the only fixture I watch. And let's be honest, the Scottish League is quite simple to play attractive football when you play against sides like Kilmarnock, St Johnstone, that put 10, 11 men behind the ball. So it's difficult to gauge on the attractive style of play coming from the Scottish League. Like, it might be a style of play. I've seen the notes on him. He likes to play. He doesn't get enjoyment out playing defensive football. So it's what fans want. Fans want to see attacking football. And let's give it a go. He's got 4 years. He's got to be given minimum 3. Just to see how things go, because you want a project, you can't do that for 2 years, especially with the mess we're in.
Yeah, but Ryan, talk to me about, like, in terms of the fan base reaction, like, how patient do you think the fans are going to be with Postecoglou? Because, like, for the last few years, we've kind of run out of patience, let's be honest, because of how things have gone and because of the lack of trophies and all that kind of stuff. The fans have, Conte mentioned how the fans have run out of patience. So do you think we are going to have the patience to stick out Postecoglou for a rebuild if things aren't going well, within the first couple of years?
That all depends if the chairman comes out and communicates with us that this is going to be a long-term plan. If he doesn't, then you'd expect the same things after 2-3 months, very similar to Nuno, if results aren't going the same way, because the board haven't communicated with us that it's a clear plan, this is going to be long-term, and we're sticking with him. 4 years suggest we're sticking with him for the long term, but until that's communicated with us, you're going to see the fans are very, don't want to say fickle, but they follow. They're like sheep. If one person gets on board with Ange out, then it will snowball into effect. What we need to do as a fan base is just stick by him for 3 years. He's been given the time with the contract. He just needs the backing now, and that backing is through the board. Give him what he wants, and we can see where this goes.
Yeah, well, what's your opinion on, the Ndombeles, the Harry Kanes, the people that are maybe with their futures up in the air? Ndombele, apparently we're going to give him another year to prove himself. Harry Kane, can he do that number 9 role that Ange Postecoglou wants to do? I mean, what's your opinion on those two?
I'll let Miles answer this one. Miles?
I just think that we've given so many players so many chances over so many managers over so many years that with the change, and hopefully it will be long-term manager for once, so we're not going to have 3 months of this manager then back to Ryan Mason, that we just they just listen to our new boss, like they've done at Arsenal with Arteta. I don't want him. He could maybe 60, 70 million. Get rid of him. Bring in this player and just start a rebuild, even though it would be difficult. And we're already on our way down. Like, we've got no European football. Am I right? Yeah,
no European football.
And it's going to be, we have no excuse to not go out, try to be fresh. We can have less games than all of our potential competitors if we're still looking to be in Europe next season, fighting for it. And we can have a new structure, a new regime to go and follow, whether it be this attacking style of football that he seems to play. Even though, like as Ryan said, it's very easy to call anything attacking in the Scottish League because of how less of world-class players they have. And I just think that his pedigree is going to be different, his style of play is going to be different, and we just have to, for once, have one manager that we can actually have, that we backed him, and that we could follow him through the thick and thin, through the good times and the bad times, and hopefully that will lead us to some success or something we could be proud of.
Yeah. Absolutely spot on.
How do you see the squad being reshaped now we've got this new manager through the door? Who do you think is going to be let go? Who do you think he might give a second chance to?
The ones that I'd like gone are the usual suspects, the likes of Dyer. The thing about being in Europe, which out of Europe, is we don't need a massive squad. So this summer window, it's not about incomings. it's about getting rid of the people. Look, we could sign Mbappe, Bastoni, etc., etc. If the same players that we know that need to be gone aren't gone, it's a failure of a window. I'm not focused on who's coming in; it's more who's coming out. Whether we have to rip up contracts, sell them for less than value. Just need to get the likes of Dyer, Sanchez, Sessegnon. I put Højbjerg in there, Tanganga, Royale, Lloris. There's 6 or 7 that have to just be shown the door. There's a few that I want to see under Ange because they haven't been here long enough to have a say. I'd like the likes of Gil to have another crack. Reguilon, I think I've always liked Reguilon. I thought he was treated harshly. The likes of Skip, Richarlison, Bissouma, I think will be the one that we have to keep a close eye on. I think he will thrive under Ange. It's the ones that have only been here 1 or 2 years that haven't been
given the right opportunity.
Given the opportunity and also been here long enough that's been almost in line with this whole Tottenham culture at the moment, which is not really that good.
All right, well, Ryan, Miles, it's time to get excited. Spurs finally have a manager that we can get behind.
I'm fully going to back him. I will be backing him all the way. I will not call for his head because it's not his fault. There's no way you can blame. This will be manager number 17, manager number 18 in 23 years. It's down to the board to back him. It's down to the 100%. Board. It's down to Daniel Levy to give him the players he needs. The players he needs. Look, people might want the big name players. If he doesn't require that to do his job, that's great. That works for Levy. But then go get him his first choice targets.
His first choice targets is the thing that he had at Celtic, which is because he spent so much time in the J League.
If those are his first choice signings, then they won't cost that much. There's no excuse for him not to get his first choice targets.
Absolutely.
Damn right.
But guys, thank you so much for coming on today. We shall speak to you very soon.
No worries.
Have a good day, guys. Good day.
Up the Spurs. Come on. Let's go on to our next guest, Brian Daigle.
Good afternoon, people. How are we doing?
Yeah, all good, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, all good. Just very quickly, KPV, Vertonghen was the better defender, and that's the bottom line. End of discussion there. Moving on to the real news.
Yeah, talk to me. We spoke yesterday about the possibility of Ange being announced today. It has happened. Spurs have made it official. So what's your reaction?
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, and when we spoke yesterday, I'm delighted with the appointment. I think he's going to be a very, very positive influence and bring back. Listen, the thing that's got me all across Spurs social media right now is just the pure stupid, like the divided again. It's like we are happy that Ange Postecoglou has come in. We have heard that we've wanted attacking football for ages. People even saying at the end of Conte, Mourinho, I don't care if we lose, I just want the attacking football. Well, we've got the attacking football now, but yet people are like, oh, well, he's not a big name, he's not this, he's not that. It's like, you can't win. And there's also a lot of people now that think because Ange Postecoglou has come in, that wipes away 22 years of neglect. Like you were saying earlier, this does not wipe away anything. Do protests still happen? Yes, they bloody well do. But it's not about Ange. It's never been about the manager. It's been about the person at top. I am absolutely delighted with this appointment. I think it's one that we can look forward to with optimism. I think it's one we can look forward to where there's going to be a style of play that resembles our philosophy and what we want to see as fans, let alone the Tottenham way, as it's called. I think he is going to bring unity to the players like Pochettino did, like Martignol did, and have that on his side. And I think he will have the fans. I mean, obviously at the moment there's a lot of 50-50 that people are backing him like ourselves or saying, oh, he's a third-rate manager, he's never been anywhere. Well, I think he'll win them over rather than us going on to the other side like what happened with Nuno. I'm very excited about this.
Brian, you say you're happy about Ange. I believe you. But what do you say to a lot of the fans
Nice
on social media? What do you say about a lot of the fans on social media who are kind of using the appointment of Postecoglou as a stick to kind of beat Levy with, as a sign of, oh look, he's not ambitious, he's going for the cheap option kind of thing. Like, what would you say to fans who are saying that kind of thing?
Well, listen, I heard when you and Simeon were talking about this earlier, and Levy's only got himself to blame for this. He has only got himself to blame for the way he's done this for 22 years. And to be honest, it may look that way, and I can see where it looks that way. It could be that Nagelsmann was spin. It could be that all the talk was spin, and this has been in their sights for the whole time. And like I've said here before, I don't trust Daniel Levy to tell me the time. So when it comes to anything he says, I mean, he's brought a statement out today on Spurs Official, and I've said exactly the same thing. I'll say I'll listen to every single word that Ange Postecoglou has to say and what he's trying to instill. I don't believe a word that comes out that man's mouth. So he has painted this rod for his own back. So I can see where that's coming from. But if, like you were both saying, if you listen to what he says in interviews, if you look at the documentaries or do a bit of research of what is out there on them, the players hang on his every word, and he has the respect and they love him. And he brings a winning mentality, whether that be in the J League, whether that be in the Australian League, or whether that be in the Scottish Premier League. He brings something that this club doesn't have, which is a winning mentality. So let's just hope this will rub off and we can do something with it.
What players in the current squad do you think are really going to thrive under Ange?
I think Ryan just said, I think Basuma is going to fly under this man. Absolutely flourish and fly. I mean, we saw it the last couple of games, didn't we? We saw what he could bring. I heard you talking about the wing backs earlier, and do you know what? I honestly don't even want to see Porro at wing back. I think he's done enough to show that he needs to be competition for Kulu. I think Porro should be right back or right wing back, whichever way we play this, as a backup to Emerson and whoever may come in. I don't see Porro as a wing back. If Postecoglou does, then fair play. Postecoglou does, and then we go with that. But I think that's where I'd like to see him. I think I think Romero could. I think Romero finally could actually have a manager, but this is only dependent on him getting a centre back in that can play alongside him. For me, the most important two signings of the season, I don't care about any of the rumours of any of the players. It's got to be a goalkeeper and left centre back. It's got to be, without fail. That is the major problem with this football club at the moment. The other bits we have, do we have the 100% quality to say that they're maybe not, but the two where we 100% need to sort this position out with. You're the first choice. You are the leaders of this pack. Is the goalkeeper and the left centre back for me.
I don't know what you think about this, Sim, but I was just thinking after what Brian said, right, about Porro being pushed up high up the pitch. Like we were saying yesterday, how Ange likes to have his wingers really wide on the pitch. So wouldn't that suit Porro if he was a wide forward and you have Emerson as the right back as the inverted role, and then Udogie on the other side?
Potentially. It depends how close the number 8s get to him, because I just feel like in one-on-one situations, Porro going on the outside, he could be very good. But if he's asked to do anything more than that, he can be a bit stifled. I don't believe in his one-on-one dribbling ability to go both ways. He kind of has one trick. You know what way he's going to go, Pedro Porro. Me personally, I think he's got fantastic output. He's a very good crosser of the ball, and he's fairly quick. I don't see him as a winger, though. I really don't. I think he thrives having the space that a fullback is provided, and without that same space, is he going to have the same effectiveness? That's what I struggle to believe. But if he's tasked with just staying out wide and whipping in crosses, then I think that can work. I do think that can work. But if he's asked to kind of be a winger or be an attacking winger where he's asked to do more than that, I don't know if he's how effective he would be at that role. To be honest, I don't think he would be particularly effective, because I think you need to be able to work in tight spaces in the final third. I think he thrives with space, Porro, but without you restricting. If you put him all the way up there, he's going to be restricted to that space. Is my point.
Tim, the other way I'd say it, Sim, is if we look at Porro right now and evaluate his second half of the season, or his first half at Spurs, but obviously the second half of our season, I think he offered next to nothing in defence. Next to nothing.
I don't disagree with that.
But going forward, he got sharper and sharper, and is looking more and more settled in that position. So, like I said, if Postecoglou, you never know, Postecoglou could absolutely make him flourish at the right wing back position. Whatever he decides is where I go. But if I was Postecoglou right now and it was me that was doing that, I would look at another right back and leave him up there. But again, like I said, I will back Ange in whatever he does. And if he says he wants to play Porro right wing back or right back, then so be it.
I think we would do, in my opinion, we would do better to teach Porro how to defend and make him become an all-round right back rather than try and make the most out of his attacking talents by making him a winger, because I think it would limit him if he put him in the wing, in my opinion. But in terms of patience, Brian, I want to talk to you about patience, because Conte says the fans
I've got a lot of, yeah.
Exactly. Conte says the fans have run out of patience, with the club. Well, the fans have been waiting many years for a trophy. How patient are you willing to be with Postecoglou if we don't win a trophy within the first couple of years?
Postecoglou, as I said, will have my undivided support from the day he's here till the day he goes. Pure and simple, as every other manager has. I have always backed the manager. I have always backed the team. I just don't back a certain element, and we all know where that is. So you got to remember, Postecoglou is coming right now, and if you look at it, I can't remember a manager coming in at any point in our history to such a mess that's been created. And I ain't just talking about our recent history. I'm talking about our entire history. He has got to come in and literally rip it, tear it down and build it back up. You know, when people join the army, they break you down and rebuild you like machine. That's what he's got to do. He has literally got to rip this up from in every department. Whether, I'd be very interested to see his relationship with Scott Munn. Obviously, there's the Australian connection and they know each other. Hopefully, there's a partnership. Like we said, the kind of like with Poch and Paul Mitchell, they kind of hand in glove. Hopefully, these two will work hand in glove, and it won't be like Paratici wanted something and Conte wanted something, or Paul Mitchell wanted something and Levy wanted something else, or whatever it may be. Hopefully, these two will be allowed to do what they need to do. And Postecoglou, for myself, will have my undeniable and unwavering support from July the 1st, or from now, but obviously he starts his position July the 1st, until the day he is no longer Tottenham Hotspur manager. And it's always been that way with managers. And like I said, he's got to come in and rip this to shreds and unite the squad, sort out Harry Kane, whether he wants to keep him, whether Harry Kane wants to go, does he get a new contract, sort out the teams. I mean, you spoke about Ndombele. And for me, Ndombele, Ben, you were talking about it before. For me, and this is a bold statement for me, I've seen only Paul Gascoigne be able to do some of the things that this guy has the ability to do. The technical, not saying he's in the same league as Gascoigne, because I would never ever say that, because no one is. This guy has all the potential in the world, but the most disgusted attitude I've seen. I personally wouldn't give him another chance. I think his time's done. How many do you give? But again, if Postecoglou says, I'm going to give, like you said, Simeon, I think you're right when you said give him 6 months. And if it's not working, rip his contract up. I think that may be, who knows, Postecoglou may be the guy that unearths the gem that is within him. He really could. But my patience with him is gone. He'd have to do a lot to earn it. But yeah, for me, he's got all the time. I'm going to be very, very patient with him. It doesn't matter if the sea gets choppy or it gets rough at times. I will be with him from get-go.
And you talk about ripping it down and rebuilding it. So where does that leave Harry Kane?
Listen, you look at Harry Kane now, and I think, as Steven Gerrard said when he was close to winning at Chelsea, or moving to Chelsea, he goes, winning one trophy at Liverpool will mean more than 10 at any other club. And I'm sure Harry Kane feels the same way, without a shadow of a doubt. But at least at Liverpool, Steven Gerrard had the belief that they could do it. And we all know that Liverpool had the infrastructure and did everything to do it. Do we? Now, Postecoglou, if he gets his options, and we've got to look at it, his options are not going to be like the Bastonis or whatever. He knows his market. He knows the players he wants. These players could be as little as 6 million. They could be as much as 25 million. It could be whatever. I want Postecoglou to get his targets, and then we see. So when it comes to Harry Kane, do those players speak to Harry Kane and say, yeah, do you know what? He's putting something together here. I can see he's got one chance. If this Real Madrid rumour, which I believe is completely genuine and completely true, does he say, right, I can't be here for another 4-year project? This is the big thing. I think he's gone. Postecoglou, I think, will try. But again, if he gets that money, does Postecoglou say, right, sell him, I get the money to do what I want with it? And if that's what it takes for Postecoglou to do it, then that's what the manager wants. But I think he's gone.
Fair enough, Brian. But always a pleasure to speak to you, my friend. We shall speak to you very soon. And
very soon.
We have a manager. Only took 72 days.
Can I get a whoop whoop? Can I get a whoop whoop for the manager? And as always, Levy out.
Big up, Brian. Always a pleasure. Let's move on to Tot Josh from Spurs Live. How you doing, Josh?
Yes, guys.
How you
all
doing,
good,
mate?
thank God. All good. All good, thank God. How are you?
Yeah, all good, man. We finally have a manager. It's only taken 72 days this time, beating our own record. What's your reaction to the manager?
I wasn't too keen on him at the beginning, just because, unfortunately, I don't really rate the Scottish Premiership. But what I'm trying to look at the positives out of this whole thing, and the main positivity that I can take out of this is that Ange or Ange is he's got high. We don't have high expectations for him, and I think that as a main idea, us finishing 8th this season means that next season, if we finish 7th or 6th, is a progression. It's progress. Now I'm happy that there's going to be a massive clear out in the squad. I think that's important. And I'm just happy that there's a bit of a new era for Tottenham, really.
Do you believe Postecoglou is the guy that Spurs can really build a project around? He can be here for the long term.
I believe so. It all depends really on what the players think, because if the players believe in the project, that's a big word, believe in the project, then I think it's going to be fine. What we as Tottenham fans need to realise is this project is not going to take a year or two, in my opinion. It's going to take longer than a year or two, because we've got because what's the end goal of this project? The end goal of this project is to win a cup. Now that's facts. Win a cup, win a trophy. Now, whether we like it or not, Harry Kane's going to leave soon. Sonny's going to leave soon. We already know the 7 players that are on transfer list or whatever. And then we look at the fact that Tottenham Hotspur's youngsters, Skippy is bang average. Let's be honest, bang average player. Pape Matar Sarr is okay. He's much younger than Skippy, but it's okay. So we don't really have any youngsters right now. So the project is going to take a long time. And then also we got to remember that the teams above us, the likes of Arsenal, City, United, Liverpool, Newcastle, Fulham, Brighton, Aston Villa, they're all going to be upgrading whilst we are doing the whole transitional project. So yeah, that's just my opinion regarding the project.
And which players do you think from the current squad can really thrive, or which players do you think should be out the door straight away?
Out the door, I think, unfortunately, it's going to be Capitano Hugo Lloris. I think the defence is going to be a Dyer, Sanchez, Lenglet, get out. Midfield, we got. In my opinion, Winks has to leave. Lo Celso has to leave, and Ndombele, let's keep him for the sake of it, because we just need midfielders. We got Brian Gill needs to leave. Dan Juma's gonna leave. Flipping, I don't know. We literally Sessegnon, Ivan Perisic. We're talking literally the whole squad is gonna leave. I mean, yeah. Sorry for not giving you one name.
It's all right. And which players do you reckon will thrive then? Not many players left.
So, I mean, you got Harry Kane. Obviously, he's going to thrive. I think Pedro Porro is going to thrive under Postecoglou. I think he's going to be phenomenal. And Undoji, I believe Undoji, Pedro Porro, both of them, absolutely insane. They're going to be unbelievable next season. I think Ndombele, if he gets the game time, because, you know, Sessegnon out and you know, what's his face, Perisic out, them lot, I think Ndombele and Pedro Porro, both wing backs, going to absolutely smash it.
Big up, Josh. Thank you so much for coming on today, my friend, and we'll speak to you next time.
No worries. No worries.
one,
See you.
Josh.
Have a good one.
Up the Spurs. Let's keep going, guys. He's a bit frozen.
Is he frozen?
or is he just in that pose?
Yeah, I think he's frozen.
You're frozen, Danny. We
hear
can't.
him. Maybe try and
Maybe try and reconnect, and we'll get you back on.
one sec.
Is there anyone else? No. All right, we'll just have to wait for Danny to reconnect while we get him on. But I'm loving the sense of excitement around the corners and around the
everyone
fan
seems
base.
to be on board at the moment with Postecoglou. I think that's the right thing. I think he's an exciting appointment. I think it's more about what we expect from the football more than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's bring on Danny Kyriakou. What's going on, Danny?
Postecoglou, he knows exactly what we need. Serverless at the back, Pitters in attack, Dharma on the sidelines too. Come on.
What was that last line, Danny? Yeah, proper butchered, man.
Yeah, we need to work on that. We need to work on the last line.
It was going so well until that last line.
I know.
We have to petition the club to get some Souvlaki in the stadium.
We need to get some good ideas for that last word, right? Because the Greek way of saying it it does butcher it a bit. But yeah.
How you feeling, Danny? I can see all smiles, my friend. Today, you happy?
I'm very happy, man. I'm glad it's a 4-year deal as well, because I think a lot of Spurs fans, right? They were, including myself. It's a bit like, do the board really have faith in him, and do you see a long-term plan, a long-term vision? Because we've kind of had this. I know there's a kind of common theme of nowadays managers are not getting longer-term contracts, and usually it's because the clubs want to obviously safeguard themselves, right? They want to, if they don't like the manager, they can get rid of him. It's cheaper to get rid of him. But let's be honest, like, I don't think Postecoglou is going to cost an arm and a leg to come into this club, considering what, like, say someone like Nagelsmann or Conte or Jose would cost, right? It's just, it's like a complete opposite end of the spectrum in terms of what he would actually demand in terms of everything, transfers, director of football, wage, salary, everything, right? So for me, I think having the 4-year deal is kind of like the sign, even though the clubs probably won't communicate it to us, because look, let's be honest, they never communicate anything with us. It is kind of like a sign of saying, look, we want to plan with this guy for the next 4 years. He is there for the long haul, and we want to try and build something with him, which does give you more confidence that they've got the belief in the manager. And they're going to give him the time, right? Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, good. Right. Yeah. And for me, I think it's a good appointment, because in retrospect to where Tottenham currently are and who we can actually attract, I mean, Tottenham fans have to be so realistic and not naive about the situation we're in at the moment, because we just finished 8th in the table, and every manager under the sun has basically turned us down. Any manager with a decent kind of a decent outlook on Spurs and Daniel Levy and in a way got a little bit of common sense, which kind of, some people might say it might shock you that Postecoglou's got no common sense for wanting to join this shit show. But I mean, let's be honest, for him to want to come here and believe that he's the man to kind of completely change us, our fortunes in terms of where we are currently right now and where we want to be as a football club, I think that shows a lot about the man himself. And for me, like I said, I've done a lot of research on him, and then there's still so many fans on YouTube, on social media, that are like, literally all they say is, and I get it, what they say is, oh, he's only managed in Scotland, or Steven Gerrard's done that and look what he did, or things like that. But the difference is, Postecoglou's been in management for over 25 years, I think it is, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it's 27 years. And if you look at what he's actually done and the man himself, right, you just have to do your research on him. I mean, I always go back to the documentary I watch. And I don't know if you guys have seen it, the 1.5-hour documentary about
I
him.
watched the first half, haven't finished it yet, but it's really good.
It's really good, right? And what I think what people need to see is they need to watch that, because it really does give you the insight into the man. And I think that's what, and when I say that, I mean the way he views football, his outlook on football, his outlook on his philosophy, his outlook on life, and also to see kind of what he's done everywhere he's been, and he's stuck to the same philosophy everywhere. So regardless of the level of the club he's been at, national team, he's done it everywhere. Youth level, when he was managing in the youth setup in Australia, he's done it everywhere. And I think that's a very important thing that go on.
Yeah, go
Go
on.
on, Sim.
No, but that's admirable, but and that's a good thing that he sticks to his principles and sticks to his attacking football. But the reality is, he did start managing in 1996, and football, especially in the Premier League, has moved on a long way since those kind of times. So if he's still keeping the same philosophy that we started managing with, like bringing that into the Premier League, is there not a risk that his methods that he had when he started would be not necessarily outdated, but it wouldn't be as revolutionary in the Premier League as maybe it would be in the J League or Australia or Scotland even?
It's a good question. Like, potentially it can be. I just think that the type of person he is, from what I've researched, I think that he's someone who not essentially will adapt, but he'll learn more, because he learns, from what I've seen, he does learn quite quickly. And it's not just about learning the league that he's playing in, but it's learning about the people around him, his team, his squad, learning about what the club want and all this kind of stuff. And I think that he has such a high motivation and drive within himself to succeed, because I think do you know what? I was saying this on Stell's show last night on Tottenham Away, that I think you've got to look at it from, he's taken an absolute massive gamble to say yes to come and manage this club, probably knowing what the club is, the mess that they're in currently, knowing probably to an extent of what Daniel Levy's about, and agreeing to his terms by maybe not spending as much money or like he would have other clubs. And he's obviously never historically spent a lot of money everywhere he's been. Obviously, that's retrospect to the leagues that he's played in and managed in. But I think it's something that it's his values that I respect the most, in terms of his philosophy, style of football. And the biggest thing for me is, well, two of the biggest things is his man management and the way he speaks to the press in his press conferences, right? And the way he speaks to the fans. I believe that he's going to win the fans on quite quickly by the way he speaks. I think what we're lacking so much as a football club is that connection to the football club that we've lost, and we've lost it for a number of years. And I think it's just got progressively worse since the back end of the Poch era. And I think we need to obviously get that foundation back in first. And I think that's the first thing. That's already kind of half the battle, I think, once you is getting the connection with the fan base and getting everyone on board what he believes is going to take the club forward to the next level, or to get, when I say next level, what I mean is get back to where we were before, like like when we were in the good years of Poch. I'm not saying challenging for trophies, because that's not where we are right now. I'm saying getting us to that level where potentially we could be ready to compete for challenging for the top four again, or challenging for a cup run or something like that. And I think what we need is a style of football and an identity, because we don't have that at the moment. And I've just got that belief that he will bring that identity, and that the way he kind of speaks to the fans, how he talks, I think he's going to the fans are going to start to warm to him quite quickly, I think. And obviously it's going to help if performances are good on the pitch. But I think it's more about seeing something more than what we've seen before, right, on the football pitch, in terms of we want to see that you can see that he's trying to implement something, right? Because look, from what I've seen, at his clubs he's been at, he doesn't tend to start very quickly. Like, he doesn't hit the ground running straight away. It takes a little bit of time. It could take a month, could take 2 months, or something like that. But I do feel that he will win the fans over, as long as the board allow him to do his job. And what I mean by that is, I don't think he's going to demand lots of money to kind of splash out on transfers and things like that. As long as they get in who he wants and he believes is going to work for this team to do what he wants to do, and the fans give him the patience, right? Then I believe that we can see something very different to what we've seen in the last 4 years with all of our managers. And the first thing being the style of football, I think, is what a lot of fans want to see, right?
Yeah, and with the new manager in now, how do you see the Harry Kane situation playing out?
It's a hard one because I still think that Daniel Levy still holds all the cards at the end of the day. If he doesn't want to sell him, he doesn't want to sell him. It doesn't really matter to Harry Kane, because for Harry Kane, he'll probably just see it as, oh, look, if I'm going to stay one more season, I'll try and get closer to the target of beating the Premier League record, see what we can do this season, see if there is any signs of progress. And if there isn't, then I'll just leave on a free and I can pick whoever I want to go to in the world. I don't think it's necessarily a rush for him to go. And I know there's been so many strong links with Real Madrid, right? But let's be honest, if Daniel Levy is going to sell to anyone, he would prefer to sell abroad, right? I don't think he's going to accept any offer from anyone in England unless it's like something just astronomically ridiculous, like over 130 million pounds sort of thing. I think if you're looking upwards of 140, 50 million pound, which I don't think anyone's going to pay with a guy who with 1 year left on his contract, then maybe he might look, do you know what, it's worth selling. But unless it's something stupid from abroad, I just can't see it. And then you have to factor in, does Harry Kane actually want to leave? Now, a lot of people have been having this argument, it's Real Madrid, if Real Madrid come for you, you've got to go to them. But the problem with what people seem to forget is the fact that at the end of the day, it is Real Madrid, but every single person is different and they have different motivations and ambitions of what they want. Of course that he could definitely play for Real Madrid and go on and probably win some trophies there. But does he? In my opinion, I've got this feeling that he's looking at the situation, thinking, do I want to go to Real Madrid, potentially win a Champions League? Because look, it's not guaranteed anywhere you go. You've got a better chance of doing it, but it's not guaranteed. Does he go to Real Madrid and go and try and win a La Liga, or does he play in the Premier League one more year? And then he can have the pick of whoever he wants to go to. Because let's be honest, right? Every single club, right, regardless of what they need, right, will be after Harry Kane next summer if he's a free transfer. I don't care what anyone says, right? There is no way Liverpool, Chelsea, United, City, every single one of them will probably be in for a chance with Harry Kane. And do you know what? I wouldn't even be surprised if City still go back in for him, because if you're taking Harry Kane on a free transfer, could you imagine what Pep could do with Haaland and Kane in their team? It's just
Haaland,
already.
Kane, De Bruyne. It'd just be too much.
It'd be too much. And the thing is, you've got to look at it from that perspective, is that you're not paying anything for someone who's going to guarantee you 20 plus goals a season, regardless of where he plays, right? So I think in my mind, Harry Kane probably sees it as that if he does stay one more year, right, I don't think he does want to go abroad, and not just for family reasons, just because I believe that he's got a lot more desire burning inside him to win something in England rather than go and win a Spanish Cup or a La Liga. I think he would. I think me
Danny,
winning an
you've
FA
turned into
Cup
RoboCop. You've turned into RoboCop.
Hold on a second. Can you hear me now?
Like a Dalek.
It's still like RoboCop.
Say exterminate.
Say it.
Let me try that.
Oh, there you go. That's working now. Something's changed.
Yeah, something to do with the connection with the Bluetooth. I don't know, but yeah. With Harry Kane, I think it means more to him to win an FA Cup and try and win some trophies in England than it would going to Real Madrid and winning a Spanish Cup or something like that.
If you won La Liga, I don't think so. If you won La Liga in Spain, I think that'd be more to him than an FA Cup in England, in my opinion.
Do you think?
I think so. Yeah.
It's
Look, Madrid is the biggest club in the world. His role model was Ronaldo when he was, growing up, and he was like obviously at Real Madrid for a long time. I think it's just one of those clubs where you can achieve big things. You're competing for the Champions League. You can win La Liga. He can win all that he wants to win at Real Madrid. And yes, look, it's not in England. I think ideally he probably would want to stay in England, but I think a chance as well to allow Tottenham to get a big fee for him as opposed to leaving for a free. I think he can go there and then come back to England as well in a couple of years' time if he really wants to as well. I think it just makes sense.
I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, right? But I just got this feeling that I think that he probably sees it as that. This is my opinion, obviously, that he can pick anywhere he wants next season. Like, he can go anywhere he wants, and I guarantee there's not going to be a short list of clubs. So many people have said, "Oh, Man United might buy a striker this summer." And they won't go in. Come on, man. This is Harry Kane we're talking about. If Harry Kane's free, every fucking club is going to be after Harry Kane. I don't care what anyone. Every single club is going to try and offer Harry Kane a contract, right? Including Liverpool. If Liverpool see Harry Kane on a free transfer, are you telling me Liverpool are not going to go in for Harry Kane? It's just ridiculous. It's honestly ridiculous. Everyone will go for Harry Kane, and I think, to me, I just think that he sees it as that. He's got more power in what he wants to do, not what Daniel Levy wants him to do. And I think as much look, he could if Real Madrid make a big enough offer and the club accept an offer, then it's up to Harry Kane to decide what he wants to do. And people will question his ambition if he turns down Real Madrid. But then you can't really question it because you have to understand maybe what Harry Kane wants, and maybe that is he just doesn't want to leave the country and he just wants to try and win a Premier League title rather than a La Liga because. Let's be honest. If he is free next season, which he will be, you never know. Man City could come in for him, and then what? Then you're going to say he's guaranteed trophies at Man City. Like it's not out of the realms of possibility just because they've got Haaland and Alvarez there. They're not going to add another world-class player to the unbelievable talent they've got. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, but I totally agree.
I think Kane will stay one more year, just because I just don't think anyone's going to pay what Daniel Levy wants. Him this summer. I just don't see it.
But does he fit that Postecoglou system though? That what Postecoglou wants from a number 9 though?
Do you know what, Ben? A lot of people have been debating this. For me, Harry Kane is so world class. He could fit into any system, anywhere. In my opinion, I think. Look what he did under Jose in his system. Right, he was the top assister, top goal scorer. Look what he did last season. Right, he was only 6 goals off Haaland. Haaland was playing in a world-class team who's probably the best ever, one of the best ever, debatably, the Premier League teams we've ever seen, right, play football. And you've got Harry Kane playing in one of the worst Tottenham teams we've seen in 15 years, right, since he's been at the club. And he's still managed to get 30 goals, second highest top scorer in the leagues, in Europe's top 5 leagues, in that team. He's just a phenomenon. He's an unbelievable talent, and yeah, I just think that he can play in any system, and I think that Kane is so good that he can adapt to any system as well. And
I get that, Danny, but does he have the energy and does he have the application to really lead that press from the front? And this, we're not just talking about a press that we've seen under Antonio Conte or other teams. This is a high, intense press where everyone has to get involved equal amount, and especially the number 9.
Yeah, I think I think he can do it. I still think he can. I think what I do also think is that Postecoglou will probably get players to make sure that Kane fits in the system, right? Because wouldn't you rather have Harry Kane in the system than not in the system? Because he's just that good, right? So there will be a way that he might think maybe he's better as a behind the striker. Who knows? But I just think if Kane stays one season, that Postecoglou will look to. The only problem we've got is, right, I think Postecoglou will look to adapt the way, maybe in a sense, to try and find the balance of how we can add Kane into that pressing system. Maybe Kane is willing to do it, and maybe we just haven't seen it because, I don't know, all the other players haven't been really wanting to go in the same direction. Like Conte said, how many players were playing for themselves, right? Everyone was playing for them. So many players were playing for themselves. I don't think Postecoglou will allow that. I think he's going to bring the players to play in a system that everyone wants to play the same way. And I think if it's set up to put the balls in the box in the way that Postecoglou plays, I think Kane will thrive off that kind of system. And maybe he might not press as much as the other players, but I don't think he won't press. And people will go on about his legs and this and that. But look, Harry Kane said it himself. He's the fittest. He said last the season that just went that he felt the fittest he's ever felt in his career. Right, and he's 30 years old. So what does that tell you? We have to wait and see. But I just think that the only annoying thing about it is that if Harry Kane is going to leave at the end of next season, and I think there will be discussions with the manager, the club, and Kane this summer to decide what they're going to do, because if Harry Kane isn't going to stay, maybe for the good of the build that we need to do, maybe it is better to sell him now, right? If he does want to go abroad, and then start building what Postecoglou wants to do right now, rather than like start building and then a year later you've just taken away your best player from the squad, and then you're going to have to kind of go again, sort of thing, and try and make the difference for what Kane gives you, basically.
Big up, Danny. Thanks for coming on today. Glad to see the excitement back in the Spurs fan base, but we'll speak to you very soon.
Speak to you later, boys.
Nice one,
Up
Danny.
the Spurs, come on. And I think, well, we'll get through the rest of the super chats, and then I think that is that for today.
We got Connor Plager says, this just looks like another failed project. Not very positive from Roger. Connor, sorry. Absolute Bore says, hopefully the opposition don't take Ange seriously. That would be helpful. Nitam Prasad says he seems confident, and that's something that our club needs. Some new faces, a new system onwards and upwards. I completely agree with that. He says get a stronger partner for Romero and a proper system with a CDM shielding and covering the space. Poro will shine next season. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Josh, welcome to Silver. Big up to you. And Nifin Prasad again says playing an attacking 4-3-3 will rejuvenate Sonny. I still believe he can get 15 goals next season.
Yeah, I actually think Sonny will thrive in this system next season. I really do. It might be one last dance for Heung-min Son next season, but I think we're going to get the best out of him next season. Could have a very good season.
Yeah, I think so as well.
But that is all we have time for today. We are going to be bringing out some more Ange Postecoglou content throughout the day. We're going to be delving deep into his tactics, see who suits it, who doesn't suit it, where we're going to need to buy players to suit his system as well. So watch out for that. But I'm loving that chant from Danny Kiriakou in the comments as well. It goes, Aussie, 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 coys, coys, coys. Big up. But thank you everyone for joining today. It's time for everyone to get excited. A new era is upon us at Tottenham Hotspur. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.